Hi again, folks. It's your jerk of all trades back again. And what do we have here? We got an old Ford tractor. Belongs to my buddy Ray. I came over here a few weeks ago and he bought this not running. I came over here and we rebuilt the carburetor, put some points in it, new ignition, the whole nine, blah, 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 blah. And it wouldn't start. It was turning over slow, so I decided the starter was bad, pulled it off. It's missing down there. And got the starter rebuilt, and now I'm back here to put a starter back on it. What is this thing again, Ray? It's a Ford 2000?
2000.
Like a late 50s, they said, or?
Yeah, I think between 63 and 74.
Oh, okay, so it's a little newer than that. It's 60s. 60-something Ford 2000. It's a little 3-cylinder, gas-powered tractor. Handy little thing. He bought it real good because it wasn't running at the time, and they said that it would. They said it had been sitting a couple of years.
Yeah.
So as we know, in Craigslist terms, that means it's minimum. It's been sitting for 5 years, and the valves were stuck. A couple of them were stuck, and it just wouldn't turn over fast enough with the old starter. I think it wasn't building enough compression. So now I'm going to put a starter on it, and we're going to see if it'll fire up. Hopefully, it'll zip right to life. I got this camera for $60 at Martin's. It's a $200 Sony camera that they were selling for 50% off of their price, which was $120. I was like, I'll take that. Kelly got it for my birthday. It was great. All right. Oh, let's see what I can do here. Everything's right there. We took off. That shiny thing. Of course, I'm over here today because this is the last day of freedom before Maine's lockdown basically goes into effect. As of midnight tonight, we're all supposed to stay home unless we're essential workers. Which, actually, essential workers are listed, auto repair is listed as essential. So if I'm going someplace, as long as I got my toolbox with me and we're going to fix something, I'm essential. People have to be able to get out. It's an emergency, etc. So. This in here without pinching the hell out of my belt. On you. I use it as starter bolts, must be good. It's always fun to try and balance the starter and get the bolts turning. Oh yes, that ground needs to go in one of those bolts too. Oh, maybe that's not the starter bolt. No, I don't think it is. It's the smaller ones, I think. Isn't it? Water on them, that's good. Sure. Oh no, that's a starter bolt. There it goes. Funny. There, that's good. Hand was going numb. Starter. Heavy little sucker. That doesn't go in. Oh, I see where that goes. It doesn't go on the starter bolt. It goes on the big lug on the starter. That's the actual hot line too. This needs to go on the starter bolt because that is the ground for the battery. So that needs to go on probably the upper one that I already put in. Now that Murphy's Law would dictate, obviously.
Obviously. This will be my last video probably out of my yard for a while, but thankfully I've got lots of thankfully I have lots of broken stuff at my house. So. I've got some content to be made right without leaving my yard, bringing anything home. Hi, dog. dogs right now, they're just happy everybody's home all the time.
Right.
Cats are pretty pissed off, but this would be easier without this loader here, but that's what makes this thing so awesome. Let the loader in the way, this is really easy. Giant yellow bar right in front of what we're working on. It was fun to put the carburetor on too with it. By fun, I mean it caused lots of swearing. And actually broken parts. And jerry rigging and but in the end we ended up with a spark and a carburetor that was fueling. Probably too much fuel. Let's see. I think it was just unhappy because it wasn't turning fast enough. So hopefully we've corrected that issue. Okay, so there's our ground wire, there's our positive, and that's intake and building checks. Make sure there's nothing that ground anything out. Put that back on after it starts. Okay. Hot because it goes down to that starter solenoid. That's the ground, which I know because I just bolted it to the ground. Okay. So, if I recall, we hooked everything up on this thing.
Gas pepcock on.
So the choke works, yeah. Looks like the gas was left on, actually.
Huh.
Well, let's check the oil before I crank this over then, because hopefully that new needle and seat was good. Didn't let the thing fill itself with a crankcase full of gasoline. Oh, I thought, for some reason, I thought the dipstick was over here. I guess it's not. I guess it's buried over here on this side. Okay. Not usually too hard to find on a tractor. Generally right out in the open. In a fairly obvious way. Okay, what do we get down here? There's the ignition coil. There's the dipstick on this side. I must be missing it over here. Oh, there it is. It's just a short little tiny thing way down low in the crankcase. I see. It was obscured by the loader. Okay, no, the oil is not way high. Doesn't smell like gas. So, it didn't fill the crankcase with gas. Let's see if it still has gas in it. Yep, it does. So, even though I screwed up and left the gas turned on, that brand new needle and seat kept it right where it's supposed to be. So, turn off the gas, but you know, this time we lucked out. Okay. We got neutral. Some throttle. What? Oh, you know what? I don't think I actually... No, I didn't. I didn't hook up the lug to the starter yet. Gotta do that. No power yet. Just hearing the solenoid clicking. Getting ahead of myself. Just want to hear it run. So it started and ran on what was on the carburetor, and that was the end of that. Turn on the gas, dummy! I used to have a sticker on my dirt bike's tank that said that.
works. That's interesting. I wanted to try and get the clutch to free up. I wonder where that is, and oh, it's right here. I wonder how to bypass it. It doesn't seem to want to do that. Interesting. One of the spark plugs just popped out of its well. I mean, one of the plug boots popped off the spark plug. Popped right out of the spark plug well. That's really strange. I hope that plug isn't in a stripped out hole. No, it's still tight in there. Wow, that's weird. I've never seen that happen.
Interesting.
For some reason, it's wow. They're all pressurized. Why is that? Don't want to go down and stay there. Oh, that's caught in the bucket. We'll put the, I'll bring it over here on the flat ground, and then we can put the rest of the under hood shit back together. I was just gonna release that. You do you, man. Popped out like with a pop. I heard it go pop and like popped out. I wonder if I have a plug wrench with me. I could probably make sure that plug is tightened down all the way. Could just be that it's just got torqued down and it's letting it build pressure at the moment. Okay, don't repair without installing. Look at lantern. think we're good. But I'd call that a triumph. Bought this thing really cheap. Because it didn't run. Took a little gamble. The price he paid for it, it was basically what it was worth for scrap metal. So, really couldn't lose much other than tying some money up in it. Sometimes that's works well. Alright. Well, that plug wasn't all the way torqued down. That's my bad, I think. Hopefully that'll stop doing that.
Got one or need one?
I had one. I still had the toolbox in the car from last time, and I just torqued these two a little bit, so I'm guessing that was the issue, is they're just there's a little blow-by in the spark plugs. Yeah, I just got a little snug out of all of them. That should stop that. These are truly irritating. There.
So I need to drain the gas. I need to address the oil filter seat, right?
Yeah, and it's not, at least it's not leaking more. It didn't, like, yeah, I mean, there's a trail down the block, and it looks like it's been leaking for quite some time. I think this is something that they've just been ignoring. But, you got a manual with this, didn't you?
I did.
Probably on the engine part of that manual, it'll show you, might even give you a part number. I'm gonna bet money though that right behind, it's just the oil filter threads onto this big block that's about twice the diameter of the oil filter. There's no visible hardware, so my guess is if you unscrew the oil filter, there's probably 2 bolts underneath it that hold it down to the block with a big O-ring that seals the passages. So definitely wants to get fixed. But I noticed
the
it's
O-ring or the whole part?
just the O-ring.
Yeah.
The part looks fine. It's leaking behind it. I don't see any crack or anything. So I think that's fine. I think it just needs a new O-ring. But power steering doesn't seem to be working worth a shit, but it might come out of it. It definitely, the engine sounds better the more it runs. Oh, might not be any fluid in the power steering. Yeah, it's really low, that's why. It's probably got a minor leak, so top that up. I'll have to look up what it takes for fluids. When in doubt with power steering, I use ATF. Dexmark ATF. Basically, you can use ATF as hydraulic fluid, but you can't use hydraulic fluid as ATF. So when in doubt, use ATF. On some old stuff, though, it can eat the seals. So that's why you want to look it up. I get most of my information on these old ones from forums. If you just find, I'm sure you'll find a forum dedicated to 60 to 72 Ford 2000 tractors and all the info that you're looking for. People that, went and bought the old factory service manuals and stuff and all the parts from the dealership. I don't know if it's charging. I don't have a voltmeter with me. But, so what needs to get hooked up here? We've got the intake line, the air filter, and a big old heat shield. Here's the rest of it we put together last time. Which means that we're missing one.
Does that mean there's another blue tube like that?
Yeah, probably a curvy one.
It's either over here or in the garage.
Yep. I think that's all we're missing is one blue tube with a couple of rubber couplers on it.
Parts in the mud. That's good for them.
Dropping the parts in the mud. It reminds me of a story. When I was a kid, I was all about drag racing. And my favorite drag racer was Don Big Daddy Garlitz. And he had a bunch of records, and he was wicked fast. And he, did so well that people would copy him. Whatever, any shanks they got, they'd copy him. And one day he and his crew were changing the head gaskets to their dragster in between races, someplace, I don't know where. And this would have been back in the 60s. And they dropped the head gasket into a mud puddle by accident while they were working on it. They immediately picked it up, cleaned it off, and went to put it back in the dragster, and off they went. And later on that day, they were going around the pits, and they saw 2 or 3 other teams dropping their head gaskets in the mud puddles, cleaning them off, and then putting them in the cars. Because they were convinced that he'd discovered some secret that was tempering them or something by putting them in a mud puddle. I just always liked that story. Don't go into this blindly. If you don't know something about mechanical stuff, with the tractors in particular, you can lose a lot of money buying broken machines that are broken, really broken. This one was only a little broken. It needed a tune-up, a little help, and a new starter. A few $100s here and there, and I think he's going to have a really nice tractor here. Motor sounds nice and solid. It does smoke a little bit, but it's old. Ah, you go right in like so. I said like so. I said you drop right in like so. Like so, I said. You just drop right in. It's just not dropping right in. We can put it up from the bottom. Maybe I've got to take this boot off of it and make it a little bit more slipperier, more slickery, something. Fit down past.
What the fuck is that?
Somebody doing a burnout, or just their car falling apart? Maybe, I don't know. Not really sure.
Hey, the world's gonna end. Let's destroy our car first.
Yeah. This is just a dry run for the apocalypse. There, that actually went on there. Yeah, that's somebody doing burnouts over in the intersection at the bottom of the hill. Well, the police right now are basically not pulling over anybody that doesn't have a dead body hanging out of their trunk. So, right now they'll ignore your registration, your inspection, because they're supposed to. You can drive an uninspected vehicle right now.
Yeah, mine's uninspected. It just ran out.
Well, because the DMVs are closed, you can't go get something registered, and it's got to be registered to be inspected. So, that's their reasoning behind all that.
I'm gonna push it for as long as possible to get a couple extra months on my sticker, you know?
Oh, I'm so psyched that this tractor runs.
Me too.
That motor sounds really good, too.
Does
I
sound
bet the
nice.
more you run it, the less it's going to smoke. It already doesn't knock. I mean, it sounds really good. But, yeah, find that O-ring. Let me know if you have any trouble finding it. And get that ordered. And an oil change, because the oil coming out of it's black and shitty. We didn't change the oil, right? It's as it showed up. Yeah. So I wouldn't go running the hell out of it, because the oil's been sitting there at least 2 years. And as we discussed,
Minimum.
probably more like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes usually more than a couple of years for the clutches to stick. That's kind of a giveaway there. But
Clutch is completely freed up though.
yeah, it's working fine.
Nice.
It doesn't have a lot of travel. I mean, the thing's going to need a session of fix this and tune that and adjust this and that. Everything needs grease. Everything needs to be adjusted. Because it's all been sitting. I didn't try the brakes. It wasn't going good enough for that. And like I said, all the spark plugs I managed to torque. They all took about 1/8 of a turn. So hopefully it'll stop spitting out the plug wires, because I'm sure that was it.
Yeah.
Those wires seal really nice into the top of the wells there, because they're, they're the water seal to keep water out from the top of the spark plugs there. So any pressure in there, and it just. This tractor is all back together, and it starts better when you hook the battery up. I'm trying not to run myself over. No choke, starts and idles. I think with some fresh gasoline and a little more heat in the engine, it's gonna be good. It's not smoking.